Now that we've got the Porsche project all put back together, today let's take it apart again. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Sean. This is Auto Anatomy. Today we're back working on the Porsche project, and when we left off last time, we got the car all back together from Mako. They did a phenomenal job on the paint. I cannot be happier with the way it turned out. I've been driving the car for the last week, and it's just amazing the reaction that people have to it. You just don't see them on the road anymore. I've gotten a ton of thumbs up from people just driving down the road, and I'm just loving being able to drive the car. What I'm not loving is the fact that it's Colorado, it's February, and we have no heat in the car because the blower motor has gone out. I said on a previous episode that one of our supporters sent us this blower motor fan, and thank you again, Matt, for that. But the problem is, in order to change it out, it's not just so simple that you just pop this cover off and the blower motor comes out. It couldn't be that easy. So instead, to change it, we have to pull apart the entire interior, which means the dashboard, the steering wheel, the center console, shifter, all of this has to come out for probably a 5-minute change of the blower motor. But that does give me an opportunity to address one of the glaring problems in the interior, which is also the dashboard is cracked. You can see this is just falling apart. It's got cracks all over. So I picked up this Coverlay dash overlay, and it's a pretty darn close match to the brown that's in there. So when we're putting everything back together, we're gonna get the dash prepped and put the Coverlay top on it, just so that it looks a little bit nicer. I would love to find a replacement dashboard, but those things are just unavailable now. You can't find them in junkyards. And the ones that you can find for sale are just outrageously expensive. So we're gonna get the blower motor changed out. We're gonna replace that dash top with a Coverlay, and then we're gonna be ready for interior. Make sure that you're hitting that subscribe button and click on the bell to be notified when new videos come out, and swing on over to our merch shop so you can pick up cool Auto Anatomy t-shirts like this, and I'll put a link in the description above. Enough talking, let's get started. I found a really good article on 924.org that was written by a guy named Jim Pasha, and it just goes through step by step everything that you need to do. So I've never done this on this car before. I've pulled a lot of dashboards apart on other things, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Okay, speaker removed. And then there's a 10mm nut over a large flat washer. This is the center upper mount. Do not remove it yet. Okay, so remove the speaker again. And there is no nut on that large flat washer. Huh, that's interesting. In order to remove the dash, the steering wheel must be removed. This is accomplished by pulling the center pad off the wheel and using a 24mm socket to loosen and remove the retainer nut. The wheel can be wiggled off once the nut is removed. The directional signal windshield wiper switch must also be removed. And there is my 24mm nut. So let me go get a socket. I'll be right back. Anything else in here? Oh, well, that was super easy. It's a whole lot easier than I expected. Directional signal windshield wiper switch assembly must also be removed, but of course it doesn't say how to do that. Outer cover must then be removed. Is it these 4? I'm gonna go with these 4 screws here and hope I don't mess it up. Okay, it says the outer cover on the switch assembly must then be removed. Later cars have a 2-piece cover with a small Phillips screw. Early cars are covered, it's essentially 1 piece. To lay on your back to unplug the wiring harness from the switches. Okay, lambda sensor equipped cars, which this says, the box on the steering column which is in the way and has to be removed to get your hand in there to unplug the harness. Alright, let's do that. So there is the little harness on the back of the switch that has to be unplugged. Okay, now that the harness is unplugged, it says ignition switch, a key must be inserted to the switch to pull it off. Okay, turn it on, remove the 6mm bolt, which is right through here.
Right there. Okay, once the bolts is out, the switch assembly can be pulled off and set aside. Okay, well, that came out pretty easy actually. All right, fingers crossed. Huh. Well, how about that? It actually worked. Instrument cluster has 2 screws holding it to the dash. Both screws are on the upper side of the cluster. Then once they're removed, the cluster can be pulled out part way and the speedo cable disconnected. Thankfully, I know how to do this one because I've had this thing out a ton. Okay. Well, I guess the speedo wanted to stay. Move over to the passenger side. Cover over the blower in pieces that must be removed, which I have. Screws around the perimeter, glove box lamp, disconnected glove box out, and then, I love this, removing the center console can be difficult. Thank you. Okay, so we got the glove box out, and I guess the next step is the console. And of course I love the fact that on the instructions here it says removing the center console can be difficult. Remove the ashtray, 2 bolts, 4 screws, a partridge in a pear tree, and just figure it out basically. Alright, these are the 2 bolts under the ashtray. So this has got a couple of screws at the top here, and then it just kind of pulls down. There's some clips in here that are kind of a pain in the butt. Just got to be careful with them because it felt like it was going to break the whole time that I was doing this, but it's out now. All right, so in theory, this thing should be ready to come out. Just like that, the console is out. Now, no money. All right, y'all, I think I'm ready to pull the dash. I've got all the bolts out in all the places. The 10mm is already out in the middle of the dash, and pull up and back on the dash, removing the heater defroster ducts with the dash, and the hoses should drop off. All right, let's see what happens. Look at that. Well, there we go. One dashboard out. Okay, so now I have to figure out how to drop this part. So it looks like it comes down from the top, and I wonder if under the hood I have to just pop that loose. Okay, let me do that first and then see if I can just like rotate this down. Okay, that was probably one of the most frustrating and painful things ever. But we finally got all of the heating and air conditioning and everything out of the car. And someone's been in this before. So you can see there's some zip ties up under there. So someone's been in here messing with it before. All these AC connections were loose. You can see someone tore the carpet before. So unfortunately, I think that means I'm gonna have to find some new carpet, which I really didn't want to do because you can find new carpet for these cars, but it's almost always black. So now that all of the air conditioning is out, I guess the next step is trying to take the airbox apart so that I can replace that blower motor. And here's the blower motor, or here's the airbox. And the blower motor is under this little flap here. Let me open this up. So there is the blower motor under there. My gosh, how do you get this apart? This has got to be the most complicated, convoluted thing I have ever seen. I mean, I guess you just pop the clips and separate it like a clamshell and replace it. Okay, I've got all the clips off, and pretty much it's just... Oh, I missed one. And it's out, and this thing is locked up pretty much. That was no fun. So, I don't know if you can be able to see down in here, but all this foam is just like falling apart. So I'm gonna do my best to try and clean all that up and replace that foam while I'm in here. And this is the bottom of the airbox, and you can see this foam is just falling apart. I've got some new foam. Just going to replace all of it while we're doing. And what I picked up is this is actually some air filter material, and it looks really, really similar. So I'm just going to cut out a ring here and put it back together. All right, after probably 2 hours of cleaning and scrubbing and putting new seals on, I've got the airbox ready to go back in. So we've got the heater core in here and it's all cleaned up, new seals on it. I've got all new rubber seals around the top. We've got, let me see if I can open this up here. There's our new fan down there, and it does spin. So it's all cleaned up. I guess I've got no other excuse. Let's put it back in the car. All right, now that I've got the airbox all cleaned up with new seals and stuff, I just have to vacuum out and clean up a little bit under here because I'm never gonna get another chance to get up under this dash, and I don't wish this on anyone. all new foam on the airbox. Just gotta kind of fish it around through here and drop it down onto that seal. Okay, so in order for the Coverlay thing to sit flush, all of these cracks here are kind of proud like that, and I've got to grind all of those down flat so that I can then silicone or glue the cover back on. So first step is taking a grinder and just knocking all these down until they're flat. All right, so all of the ridges are knocked down and got the cover on. Looks like it's fitting pretty well. So according to the instructions here, we've got to clean it off with Windex or some ammonia type window cleaner. And then we'll put the silicone on, clamp it in place, and be done with that one. All right, now it says use silicone sparingly on the underside of your dash cover as shown. So it just looks like around the perimeter and then around each one of the little holes there. If your cover has vent or speaker cutouts, apply a bead around the perimeter of each cutout. All right, here goes nothing. One down, about 50 more to go. Just kidding. Now that that's all on, I guess we just flip it over, and it says to use weight to hold it down because they're talking about doing it without pulling the dashboard, but since the dash is out, I'm gonna use my little clips and see if we can do this. All right, so I've got all the clamps in place. I think the instructions say to let it wait like 8 hours before handling it again. And honestly, I think I'm just gonna call it a night. I'm gonna let this thing dry overnight. Then first thing in the morning, we'll put the dashboard back together and wrap it up. All right, so it's day 2 and the dashboard's been drying overnight last night. It could not have been a better time to change out the blower motor because yesterday it was 60 degrees and sunny in Colorado, and today it is 8 degrees and snowing. The dash has been drying overnight. Got it all clipped up and clamped up. Should be ready to go. All right, getting closer. I've got the dashboard in and it's all tight, but I've got some issues here. So one of the things that I found in the process of taking the car apart is that this console is just flimsy and fragile, and I don't know if you can tell, but it's cracked all the way down the side on this side, and then this thing has been glued together a bunch here. So I think unfortunately the Colorado sun and UV and 40 years of being exposed to it has just made this thing fragile. So if anybody's got one of these that they would like to part with, please let me know. I'll put my email and contact information in the video description.
All right, so we've got the car all back together. I think the dash turned out pretty well. It's not a perfect color match, I don't know if you can see, but it's pretty close, and it's a whole lot better than having all those cracks and everything in there. I still, speaking of cracks, this console is gonna kill me. I've got to find another console because this is just bad. So if you've got one, please hit me up because I've got to get this changed out. This is gonna bug me. All right, so let's see if this thing's gonna work. Okay, kicked on. And what do you know? We've got heat. Let's see if the defrost works. Yep, we've got defrost as well. I think we should go take it for a drive since it's cold and snowy outside. Make sure it works okay. So it's all put back together and the blower motor is working as good as it ever did when it was brand new. Now these things didn't have the greatest blower when they were new, but I'm riding along and you can see outside it's 20 something degrees, snow's on the ground, and I'm nice and toasty warm on the inside. On the next episode, we are going to start working on the interior. I've reached out to Kyle from Only 944s, and he's got some samples of material on the way. As soon as those come in, we'll get the seat covers ordered and get that going. I'd still love to find a new console and some brown carpet for the cars. So if you've got either a console or carpet or both, and you'd like to help us out on this project, shoot me an email. I'll put my contact information in the video description. That's going to wrap up this episode. Thank y'all so much for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and click on the bell to be notified when new videos come out. We'll see y'all later. God bless.